That's just the core of the military or law enforcement, anything. It's be ready to go.
Hey everyone, we're back for round 2 of the Flashback Friday episodes. This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee, the veteran-owned brand where every sip inspires you to live life full steam ahead. I've been drinking their coffees for a while now, and I'm glad to partner with a company whose products I use. At Trident, they're more than just coffee, they're storytellers. Crafted by veterans, their instant cold brew is perfect for those who serve, those who have served, and anyone who values wellness. Featuring natural ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics. It's more than just a morning pick-me-up. It's your new wellness ritual. Enjoy it at home or on the go, wherever your day takes you. Trident Coffee isn't just about great-tasting coffee. It's about empowering you to be the healthiest version of yourself, because great veterans make great citizens. Try their instant cold brew today, along with many other coffee products, and taste the freedom of wellness. Remember, when you choose Trident, you're not just choosing coffee. You're choosing a path of connection through health and wellness. Head on over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's TDP15 for 15% off your order. These Flashback Fridays are meant to bring some attention to some of the early episodes. Maybe if you're a longtime follower of the podcast, you might have just happened to miss this given episode. If you're new to the podcast and you haven't had a chance to go back, maybe this will spur you to go back and listen to the full episode. You got about 10 minutes. I kind of pulled some of the wave tops, but the main interview was about an hour and 20 minutes long, and there's a lot more left on the table that I think you could really benefit by going back and listening to the whole thing. This guest is truly somebody that I've come to know better after meeting him to do the podcast. I would actually call him a friend now. We actually stay in contact on a pretty regular basis, and I think that he's got a lot of good information to share with you. He was a Navy SWCC. Today he's a professional bodybuilder, but he's got a really good story about his transition and what he went through. So here's a recap of episode 45 with Guy Smith.
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles in Watts. Gang violence, major. Every night, gunshots. We literally fled our home in South Central. The gang violence had gotten so crazy. My grandma was a fighter, man. She was a Depression era baby, survivor, not going to take shit for,
different kind of strong.
Oh my God, just strong, man. She worked in the military at some capacity. That's where she met. My grandfather was a sergeant in the Army. But she was just a tough cookie. Ghetto is a state of mind. Being an inward is a state of mind. Absolutely not. You're better. You're just as good as anybody else. Let me show you. If you fail, that's on you. Pick yourself up. Keep going. It's possible. You can absolutely achieve if you put effort into it and go for it. You have a mission. You have a goal. And so I got that from my grandmother and from my mother. Growing up, I had asthma. Going into high school, I wrestled. That's when I got into wrestling. I knew right away, that was the sport for me. I did nothing else. It just gave me a compass, right? It lined my star. Okay, that's where I'm strong. This is something that I'm good at. I feel good. Let me pursue this. And fitness, martial arts, wrestling, that transitioned me into jiu-jitsu. And so transitioning from high school, I'm still dealing with the asthma. I'm still taking the inhaler. I've still got a breathing machine. And I meet my wife. At this time, I'm coaching. Now I'm graduated from high school. I've moved down to San Diego at this point. I feel like I was always going to be in the military. I just knew it since I was a kid. When I was a little kid, that's who I looked up to, were military, police. I always wanted to be a police officer, a SWAT guy in particular. Always loved the Navy SEALs, Special Forces. I'm coaching, I'm wrestling, I'm working with these fighters. And then, I started making some friends with some pretty cool guys. I'm like, man, who the frick are these guys? They're all fit. They're jacked. Turns out these dudes are Navy SEALs. There was a couple SWCC guys in there. There were a couple Army Special Forces guys in there. And they would tell me, dude, you freaking fit in perfectly. Let's get out. You know what I mean? If you want to go for it, here's how you do it. This is the process. See what you're made of. I always wanted to do it. My wife, And like I said, she's the one that was really the catalyst to like, okay, you got these dreams and you got these desires. You have asthma. She's like, you're wrestling 8 hours a day. She was also going through nursing school at the time. She was the one that really was like, okay, it's time to put foot to ass. We're going to have a family. I want you to be the man that you want to be, the man you need to be. My wife, she supported me once I decided, like, look, this is what I want to do. I want to go be a special operations guy. Initially, I was looking at the Army. They weren't really giving contracts at the time.
What year is this?
This was, God, I started the process in like 2000 and maybe 8, 9. And it was just weird at the time trying to get into San Diego MEPS, and like they just weren't giving out contracts, man. It was the strangest thing. Like you can get in and be like motor T or something like that. And I was told like, okay, look, man, we'll get you in. You can be motor T. We'll get you a Ranger option and all this and that. We'll give you $9,000.
Sure, we will.
Like, oh, cool. I can be okay. I got the option. And so I remember getting the paperwork. I went and talked to a few buddies of mine. Actually, a good friend of mine was a 18 Alpha. He was an officer in special operations. And he looked at my contract. He's like, you will absolutely not take this. This is bullshit. Like, no. That dude saved my life. And so I backed off. And I was like, okay. No, this is not really what I want to do. Let me go talk to the Navy guys. And I talked to the Navy guys, and it was just a different experience altogether. No idea what I'm walking into. It's down at San Diego in Coronado at the pool, right? People, if you know, you know. Get there, and there's like tons of dudes, man. I'm like, whoa, what is this? I thought it was going to just be me and like another guy competing, doing the swim, the push-up, the run, and all that, the physical screening test.
2008, I'm sure there's a lot of people wanting to be.
Oh, my God. This was right around probably, 2008, 2009.
I would imagine they probably had bands in the sense of, hey, these first 30 guys, and then we'll catch the rest.
Pretty much, man. And I mean, when you get into the pool and it's like stacked 10 deep each lane, and it's like, okay, go. It just hit me, man. Like, holy shit, I'm not prepared for this. The pressure of it all was very real. This is the first time. I'm not wrestling. It's not high school. It's not a tournament. Like, I'm competing.
This is for real.
This is for real. Like, I want to do this, and man, I'm not doing it. I'm failing. And so that was like a real test, right? You failed your first PST. What are you going to do now? And they just told me, hey, man, look, come back, right? You really want it? Come back. Let's see what you're made of. And so I dedicated months of time to get better and to go back, and I would fail something, or it was just wasn't good, and I'd be off or pass. But really, you had to be in a certain level to move, because they were only giving contracts to a few guys throughout the whole country. I showed up every freaking week to do those PSTs, to stack myself up and to show up and eventually move to that process. And I get a call like Friday night, and they were like, we need you to leave on Monday. I was like, holy shit. Monday? Okay. And that was it. Hard and fast. I had to make a decision. Am I going to go, or am I going to sit back home? My wife was pregnant at the time. I had a young daughter too. Move forward. I'm in it, going through boot camp, and it's freaking awesome. I love it. I'm surrounded by the baddest ass dudes I've ever been around. Everybody's got the goal. Everyone's pushing. Everybody wants to succeed. You just got to decide that you're not going to quit. That's it. I am an anvil in the water, dude. First of all, being a SWCC is not easier. You're in the water all the time. We don't play on the land too often, so you got to be super water proficient. And so, man, I would be in that water sinking. It was just every day. The process is what I attached the good vibes to, the reward to. The best experience in my life, man, going through that process. It showed me what I was capable of. And the day I left, when I told you I got the phone call, snowballed. I was almost never home. Never turned down a deployment. I should have. Absolutely. I think, looking back, retrospect, I absolutely wish I would put my family first in more occasions when I had the opportunity to. Your identity is attached to this job. It is. It was everything to me. I couldn't be halfway. And I gave everything to it. And it's a very unforgiving job. That just had a horrible, horrible effect on my family life, effect on my personal life, how I conducted business. You know what I mean? I just turned into something else. Things had just come to a head. There was suicidal ideations, the whole 9 yards, especially when it came close to getting out. It was crazy, man. It was just rough, because I didn't think I could do anything else either, right? I'd put so much time and energy into this. It was the hardest decision of my life, yeah, to walk away from that. But it was the greatest and best decision, too, because I had to choose. I couldn't have two wives. I couldn't have two families. And I just saw the outcome of that, right? If I'd have stayed in versus not. But there was just patch where I was just like, I don't know what to do, man. I'm lost. And I was still trying to keep up with a lot of those old behaviors. I was very aggressive. The way I talked to people wasn't kind, or I wasn't very approachable, where before I was always approachable. I got real down because I was like, man, I don't want to do. I got into the military because I didn't want to live an ordinary kind of day-to-day 9-to-5 life. And so I reached out to people, right? Just started asking friends, right? I reached out to my network, and that's how I got in touch with the Honor Foundation. It's always good, man, to have somebody on your side that can help guide you. And that's what the Honor Foundation was for me. Don't give up. One, if you're having a rough transition, give yourself some time to go through this piece. I set a new goal for myself to achieve today, and that's to be optimized. I'm going to wake up a little bit earlier than I did before. I'm going to try to go to bed a little bit earlier than I did the night before. And just those little incremental changes add huge value to your performance and to your life overall. I love the fitness industry. Like I said, it's been the one thing that I've always been able to rely on for myself. And one thing that I love coaching. I love helping people. I love seeing people change and adapt and get stronger. Love watching them evolve mentally and just seeing how much of a difference that makes in their lives.